All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Guys, I want to talk to you about the Democrats' other slush fund. But first, there's so much that has happened in the news this week, so much that I've been unable to get to. It's unbelievable. The House has just passed a GOP, or the GOP has just passed a budget, still has to go to the Senate. Listen, there's still work to be done on the economy. There's no doubt about it. I want to get down deficit spending, but that has happened. Trump wants the Keystone XL pipeline rebuilt. You have Tulsi Gabbard that has fired 100 Intel officials over a sex chat in internal chat lines, if you will, of the NSA. You got Kash Patel launching an investigation against former director James Comey. The FCC is launching an investigation against George Soros. Jim Jordan has launched an investigation into Fannie Willis's office. You have the cabin that gave their first had their first meeting this week. I mean, the news goes on and on and on and on. It is just absolutely fascinating. But I still cannot get enough of Doge. The left is going absolutely nuts when it comes to Doge. But what if I told you there was another slush fund in another department that existed that I don't think any one of us would have fathomed? What if I told you that the DOJ was a slush fund for the Democrat Party as well? The other slush fund for the Democrat Party. Carl, what are you talking about? How is that even possible? Listen, guys, I would have thought the same. I would have thought the same thing, but it is possible. It is possible with Democrats. Any type of corruption is possible. And that's exactly what we're seeing. Hat tip AMAC. This is a story. And actually, I had forgotten about this, but AMAC brought it back to my attention. And now I'm like, wow, it was worse than I thought. I thought it was a scheme back then when I first read about it that was being devised by the Democrats, but not much has come of it. And man, was I absolutely wrong. So here it is. From AMAC, Trump DOJ targets left-wing funding scheme. So Attorney General Pam Bundy, and you guys may have heard now this week, she's releasing some of the Epstein files. Word is that there's upwards of 250 victims, just absolutely insane. But Pam Bundy has been getting to work within the DOJ. And she's targeting potential corruption inside of the DOJ. There's a scheme that's known as sue and settle. All right, sue and settle. Now, what is sue and settle? So here's what sue and settle is. Sue and settle refers broadly to a legal strategy where advocacy groups sue a federal agency. So activists, let's say, they sue a federal agency and they'll claim that the agency has failed to meet a regulatory requirement. So let's say, for example, some NGO decides to sue USAID, all right, USAID. And so that activist group will sue that agency, that bureaucratic agency like USAID, and instead of contesting the lawsuit or fully contesting the lawsuit, USAID, for example, would negotiate a settlement agreement or a consent decree, and they would negotiate that behind closed doors. If you've ever been in family mediation like I have, instead of going to court and sitting in front of a judge, having a judge decide custody and so on, et cetera, you can go in front of a mediator and work out your differences with your ex, and then it is binding. It is legally binding. That agreement is binding. Now, it doesn't have the force, this consent decree, as federal regulations or laws passed by Congress, but they do have enforceable obligations. The same is true in a family court scenario. And so the participants have to abide by the agreement because it is legally binding. And if someone doesn't abide by that agreement, you can take that person back to court and then go in front of a judge, say, we tried mediation. This person violated this part of the agreement. And so now I want to go further. I want to sue. I want to, et cetera. All right. So I think you get the gist of it. You find a bureaucratic agency like USAID, an activist group sues that agency. The agency doesn't go after them fully, or doesn't contest the lawsuit fully and just settles. This is what was happening at the DOJ. Here's how the corruption scheme works within the government system. Again, USAID, knowing that they have friendly bureaucrats that won't put up a strong defense within that agency, leading to predetermined outcomes that align with the administration's policy agenda. All right, so that gets a little convoluted. But an activist group, again, sues the government agency. They have a friend within that government agency. That government agency doesn't put up a strong defense, but that agency is willing to settle because that agency believes in what the advocacy group or the activist is suing for. So essentially, that agency says, okay, I'm just going to give you money. I'm just going to pass off the money. You're with, wait a minute. I'm with the USAID. You're with this LGBTQIA plus community, whatever, activist organization. We messed up on some regulations. So you want to sue us? Okay, go ahead and sue us. We'll give you a settlement. And that's essentially a payout. This is another way that the Democrat Party has been paying their lackeys, have been paying their activists. So then the AMAC talks about the immense overlap in staffing between the activist group and the government agencies is something that you see in Washington, D.C. And they write, beyond handing out taxpayer cash to activist groups, the sue and settle scheme is used to bypass Congress to create new policy. So here's what it is. So U.S. aid settles with an activist group that the president and those within the U.S. aid actually aligned with. So they settle with them, and then they settle with them. They give that group money. And then based upon that settlement and based upon that lawsuit that the bureaucratic agency didn't aggressively defend, they change regulations, they change policy, and they can bypass Congress. They can bypass the United States of America, or bypass the president of the United States of America and hook up their homie with some cash. That's what's been happening inside of the DOJ. It allows agencies to legislate from the executive branch without input from Congress or even the president. This is why these bureaucratic agencies are so out of control. This is why Trump wants to get a hold of these bureaucratic agencies. You heard a previous guest of ours from the American Principles Project, Anthony LaBruna, talk about how Trump wanted to begin DOJ as early as 2020 in the Commerce Department, and then we were struck by COVID. Now, there is always already a U.S. digital services implemented by Biden, but Trump apparently wanted to create DOJ then. So this is nothing new. This is fascinating. Let me give you some examples. So Biden's war on oil and gas, all right? This is where this is the most evident. In 2022, in order to settle a lawsuit brought by the environmental group called Wild Earth, all right? So the administration closed off 4 million acres of federal land in western states from oil and gas exploration. Real Clear Investigations was all over this. The next summer, the administration blocked 6 million acres of the energy-rich Gulf of Mexico, now the Gulf of America seabed, from exploration to settle a Sierra Club lawsuit. So they just hooked up the Sierra Club are radical green new scam leftists. So they just hooked up their homies. Benjamin Zeiker put it in an opinion piece back in the Hill, or on the Hill in 2023. He said, sue and settle in general is an obvious end run around Congress's authority to enact policies and the limitation on administrative agencies to implement only those policies that Congress has approved. It is therefore for a collusive arrangement between ideological interest groups and federal bureaucracies. Here's another example. You can sue private companies. Say, for example, Gibson Guitars. Do you guys remember? We were all just shocked when the DOJ raided the factories of the Gibson guitar factory in Tennessee. They were raided by Obama's DOJ. And I don't even remember why. I remember it was something so trivial. It had something to do with the wood. Yeah, here it is. For supposedly illegally importing certain tropical type of hardwoods. And I believe what happened, if I'm not mistaken, the CEO or something, if I recall correctly, it's been such a long time, get on the bad side of Barack Obama or his DOJ for one reason or another. So what they did was his DOJ sued Gibson. Eventually, Gibson settled. They agreed to pay $50,000. All right, so they paid $50,000 to the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation as part of $300,000 in total fines from Gibson. So these people in the National Fish and Wildlife were homies of Barack Obama and of his ilk and of his people within the DOJ. The Daily Signal reported members of the House Energy and Commerce Committee requested answers from the DOJ and Interior, but the Obama administration responded with no real information about the raid itself. So Trump now, he banned mostly third-party settlements in response to cases like Gibson. But as soon as Biden got in office, Attorney General Merrick Garland brought it back. Now Pam Bondi is squashing it, and hopefully for good. But sue and settle, the other slush fund of the Democrat Party. Hey guys, Carl Jackson here for MyPillow, and MyPillow is excited to announce that they're having the first ever mega sale on their overstock clearance and brand new products. For example, you can save over 50% on this season's flannel sheets. The queen size is only $59.98 and the kings are only $69.98. But they sell out fast every year, so be sure to order now. You can also save 30% on their brand new Mike crosses. They're designed in the likeness of the one that Mike has worn every day for over 20 years. They come in men's and women's styles, and they're made right here in the good U.S. of A. Get the 2025 six-piece My Towel sets for only $29.98. The initial quantities are extremely low, so get them before they or while they last. And I can't forget to mention the My Pillow. It's just $14.98. So to take advantage of the first ever mega sale, go to mypillow.com, use promo code Carl, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. 800-858-0263 is the number to call in. But wait, remember that $75, the $75 free shipping rule. So, that ship is sailed because right now for a limited time, every order ships free. That's right. Every order ships free. MyPillow.com, promo code Carl, or give them a call at 800-858-0263.